What do you say when your child tells you that it's better if they just keep things to themselves? Now, as with many things, there's a somewhat innocent version of this, a personal struggle version, but there's also a dangerous version, and let's get that out of the way. Some children might be reluctant to tell another adult something that another adult has told them to keep a secret. That's called grooming, and one of the things that we need to do is, one, make sure that we're looking for red flags of grooming anyway, but if they say something like this, remind them. Adults don't tell kids to keep secrets. They can tell you to have a surprise, but the surprise always comes out in the end. However, a secret should not be kept. Adults don't rely on kids for things, kids rely on adults for things. And kids' things, they don't burden adults. Kids' things are safe with safe adults. So once you tell them that they can tell you anything and they will never be in trouble for any of those kinds of things, then you have checked that off the list, and we can move on to the more average reasons that you'll hear this. That kids might say this is because they haven't been feeling. When they've talked about different things, have you been correcting them? Have you been telling them what they think is wrong? Have you been telling them that you don't agree or what they think is stupid? Perhaps they've heard that so often, or they misheard what you were saying that didn't sound like that. However, they heard that, and now they've kind of shut down and feel like it's better for them to just be quiet. You know, sometimes this just comes out of nowhere. Sometimes they're just self-conscious. Sometimes they just need to be built up, and they've been hearing more criticisms in general than maybe praise. And you should always kind of keep a 10 times praise to every criticism, which is super hard during these years. So it could just be that they're kind of shaky in their self-confidence, and you need to build back that confidence for them, that they are loved, that they are safe, that they are home, that they are heard. Outside of complicated circumstances is where we correct most behaviors. What that means is in the middle of an argument, in the middle of a struggle, is not the time that you're going to teach the lesson. If the lesson that needs to be taught is that they're heard, that means sometime when everything's going perfectly fine, you just look at them and go, I love to hear things from you. Anytime you want to tell me something, I always have a set of ears. Or when you're in the car with them, you say, hey, I'd love to hear about your day. I'd love to hear about the things that are in your head. And then they can tell you whatever. And then, or if they say, no, it's all right, I don't want to tell you, just be like, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Anytime that you want to tell me something, my ears are open. The last reason I can personally think that a kid may say this is potentially you're sharing too much about their lives with other people, and they're wanting to reserve those things for themselves because they don't want to be talked about. We, as parents, love to talk about our kids. We want to share all the things with other people because we want to share the funny stories and the accolades and so on and so forth. However, there comes a point that we need to realize they're their own people and their stories are their stories. I can't tell you the amount of stories that I would love to share with you. However, at some point, those stories might embarrass my kids. And I, of course, never want my children to be embarrassed, so typically, I'm not going to share stories that are outside of what I would perceive they would feel uncomfortable with later. And I can remember my mom getting on the phone with my aunt and telling her all of the things that I did and me being very uncomfortable with that. But that was my mom's normal. That was just how her and her sister were, and they were just very open, and I never was a fan of that. Something to her that was no big deal was something really big to me. And it was right around 11 or 12 where I realized, wait, that's my story, not yours. And my mom's a storyteller. It's natural. It's organic for her. It's just what she does. And she always has a story. So for her, no big deal. For me, bigger deal. So see if potentially that's something that is a red flag to your child. The last part is parenting is not easy. When kids say these kinds of things, you're like, well, just tell me why you're saying that, because this is exhausting playing the guessing game. But they are heard, they are seen, and they are loved. And that what they tell you will be safe with you. And Godspeed.